2021 Virtual Media Day for SBLive Washington. I'm Dan Dickau alongside Andy Bueller, doing our best to cover the state of Washington high school basketball scene. With the start of the season, some teams are already in the mix. Some teams are beginning in the next week or two. We're sitting down now virtually with head coach of Ferris out of the GSL, Sean Mallon. Sean, you guys got good news today. It looks like the season will begin next week for you guys on May 10th. How excited are you now that you know you're at least going to get the start of a season to be with your players?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things everybody can kind of take a deep breath now, because I think we've been able to work with our athletes a little bit the last couple of weeks, and you could definitely sense it yesterday. Some of the guys were a little bit worried about how today was going to go, and so I think we'll see our guys here pretty soon. Hopefully, everybody will have a big smile, and yeah, it's been a long year for these kids, so it's great to get some good news today.
I've talked to coaches throughout the season in different sports, but obviously in particular basketball. How do you keep the players engaged and excited and in a positive frame of mind? And there's been lots of different things and approaches that coaches have had. What approach have you used to stay in connection with your players and keep them motivated and positive?
I mean, first and foremost, I'm just really honest with them. You know what I mean? If I know something, I tell them. If I don't, I don't.
The GSL this year is a little bit bigger than it has been in past years with the league realignment, but consistently producing teams that do well at the state level. This year, when it's only a league schedule, how do you envision the league shaking up and where you guys might fit in?
Yeah, I think we'll be right in the hunt. I mean, I really do. I like our group that we have. It's been odd that it's May and we haven't really put it together yet, right? But no, I like the group that we have coming back for sure. We've got a couple of nice additions as well, and so I expect we'll be right in the middle of things. I think the biggest thing is people are just going to be happy to be playing basketball. I mean, it's been a long wait for these kids. I know a lot of kids have done AAU stuff, but to actually play for their school, it's been a long wait. So hopefully, everybody can kind of come in with that attitude of just being grateful that we're playing and we can make the most of the 6 weeks that we have.
Roster looks a little bit different this season. From what you've seen early, what's going to be the identity of this year's team?
Yeah, balance, I think. I mean, I like our group. I like that we are pretty deep. I like that we have a lot of guys who can score the ball. I like that the guys seem, at least so far, to be willing defenders, team-oriented type kids. So I think balance is going to be a huge thing for us.
Talking a little bit more in depth on your roster and some of the individuals, you're losing two players who are a big part of what you've done over the last couple of years, McCoy Spink, as well as Fleming, who were kind of borderline, kind of all GSL type players over the last couple of years. But you've got a nice group of young players, Jackson Floyd, Nathan Hawking, and a couple possible transfers. Can you give us a little bit more on what the young guys, as well as the transfers, are going to bring to the court?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, losing those two kids, Spink and Fleming, is a big deal. I mean, those were tough kids who have kind of been through the battles and stuff like that. But with the guys that we have back, the thing that I like the most about them is that they kind of live and breathe it. You know what I mean? They're guys who love to be in the gym. They're the kids who are up at 6 o'clock in the morning lifting weights and doing all that kind of stuff. And they put in the work. And so our younger guys that we've had around are kind of like that. They live and breathe it. And then the kids that we've had that have come in are fitting right in with that mold too. So we have a bunch of guys this year where basketball is their thing. You know what I mean? And so I'm looking forward to it. It should be great.
I can imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this past year has probably been the most amount of time you spent away from basketball, away from the court. Has that caused you to maybe take a look at some of the things you do coaching wise and start to kind of maybe fine tune things, whether it's the way you lead the team schematically? Have you kind of taken the chance to really study the game in a different way?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it for sure. I mean, I think first and foremost, I mean, it just makes you appreciate what you have and what you do, and those relationships that you have with the kids and the coaching staff and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's a huge thing that not that you ever take for granted, but boy, has this sure made you realize how much you appreciate that, right? And then as far as the basketball stuff, I mean, our coaches, we joke around a lot about this. I mean, we probably, had 2 or 3 different plans and then completely scrapped them. And then, it's just too much spare time to think, right? And so, some of that, I mean, I think it's natural. You want to talk about the game, you want to be around the game, all that kind of stuff. But I'm happy with where we've kind of settled with things, and looking forward to get going the next couple of weeks.
kind of to piggyback on that question, with the fact that games are going to be coming much quicker and more often at the high school level than you guys have ever had before, what is your kind of big picture philosophy for this season in implementing your offensive and defensive structures?
Yeah, I mean, Dan, you know better than anybody. I mean, if you look at our schedule, it's like an NBA schedule. You know what I mean? It really is. And so I think, just looking at some of that, we're going to have to take that into consideration. You know what I mean? I think that you're going to have a lot of players who are pretty happy with the way things work out because there's a ton of games and a lot of coaches who are probably a little bit frustrated by it sometimes, right? But in terms of the stuff that we're doing and the stuff that we've been working on, the last couple of weeks that we'll start working on with our guys next week once we officially kick off, I think the nice thing is that there should be some continuity between what we do this spring and what we're going to do going forward. I feel like in the past we've had teams that have just had really different identities because the personnel has been different year to year. And so, I don't think we'll look how we did last year. But the nice thing about it is I think with the group that we had, you mentioned the fact that we're relatively young. I think that with that, we're going to be putting some stuff into place here that's going to carry over to the future, which will be nice.
With the extra added time this year to watch games at different levels, NBA and college, I'm sure you had a chance to follow your alma mater pretty closely. You were all-time GSL leading scorer before a teammate of yours at Gonzaga, Adam Morrison, broke the scoring record. But you also had a really nice career at Gonzaga that a lot of people might forget because for you and I, it seems like yesterday, but it was quite a long time ago. How proud of you were you of the Gonzaga program and how closely did you follow them this year?
Yeah, you're right. We're old. Nobody cares about us anymore. No, it was great to watch. I mean, it was so much fun. I'm always pretty dialed in, but a lot of times, to be honest with you, we have games, when they're playing and stuff like that. So if it's, LMU on a weeknight, I might miss it. But this year I was able to follow it, watch pretty much every game. It was one of those things too, where I'd have buddies that are like, oh, this is boring. We're up by 20 already. I'm like, guys, enjoy this. This is fantastic. Just enjoy the ride. And so, I know everybody wishes it would have ended differently, but man, it was awesome to actually, if there's one good thing from this year, is being able to be just dialed into them and the whole deal. So really fun ride.
Over this past year, is there one maybe hobby that you feel like you picked up or something that you've done that you hadn't maybe had the time to do with the shutdown and with the extra free time?
Yeah, I mean, well, I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old, so my free time is not as free as I would like it to be sometimes. But no, the only thing that I really did that was different was I totally redid our backyard. That was my project last spring and summer, and even almost into the fall. So I did that by myself. I think I hauled like 88,000 pounds of rock or something like that. So I wouldn't call it a hobby. I'm not looking to do it ever again, but that's how I spent my time.
Well, I hopefully your brother-in-law, Richard Fox,
nothing, didn't do anything.
Former teammate of mine, helped a little bit. No?
Not one thing. He came over to a barbecue after it was done. That was his contribution.
All right, I'm going to have to give him a hard time on that for you. But Sean, I appreciate the time. Andy Buehler and I, we look forward to hearing and covering the state of basketball in Washington, the state of Washington high school basketball season. We look forward to seeing how you guys play. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate everything you do. Have a good one.